So you've saved up some cash as a rental investor. Maybe it's $50,000, maybe it's $100,000, but now you're trying to decide, should you take that money and buy a new property, or should you use that money to pay down debt on your existing rentals? That's the question we're going to tackle in today's episode of Ask Coach, and we're getting started right now. Today's question comes from Aaron Amin, a member of my private coaching community called Rental Property Mastery. If you haven't heard of Rental Property Mastery, it's the place where I coach and help small and mighty real estate investors to buy more properties, to raise more funds, and to turn their rental properties into passive investments so they can achieve financial freedom. You can check it out or join at the link below in the podcast and YouTube description. To help me discuss this question, I brought on my friend and one of the smartest real estate investors and professionals I know, Erion Shehaj. He's from Houston, Texas, and he's also known as the investing architect. Now let's go to our conversation. I want to ask you, and let's have a discussion here about when is it the right time to start paying off some of your debt on your rental properties, and when is it time to just keep buying more?
That's a great question, but I just want to make a clarification first that this question is only useful in the context of an investor's individual journey towards financial freedom. So I have no interest in discussing the debate between like people who are leverage maximalists, like they just want, you should always be leveraged for the rest of your life, and the Dave Ramsey people that you should never have any debt. Like that debate, to me, it's never going to be resolved, and it doesn't lead to anything worthwhile anyway. But I think within the context of a person's journey or investor's journey, I think there are some critical times when you should consider paying off debt. So, for example, you should consider paying off debt when you're trying to turn equity into income, right? So if you're in the stage of your investing where, okay, you started out with a certain amount of capital, you've grown that capital into a bigger pile of capital, and now you're trying to figure out, well, how do I transmute this into income, or how can I make this earn more income? The way to do that sometimes is to pay off the debt on your portfolio, because it will give you the highest level of nominal income, even if it lowers your rate of return or your yield overall, right? So that would be a good time if you're in sort of the ender phase of your, to use some of your terminology, that would be a great time to think. So it's the equivalent, I think, in the investing world is when you move from stock to bonds, right? In traditional investing, that, you don't want to be 70 years old and still invested in very aggressive growth stocks.
I'll give a football metaphor to even add on to this, is that you're in the fourth quarter and you're who do you follow? Who's the Texans? You're the Texas.
Yeah.
Texans. So the Houston Texans are in the Super Bowl, and they're in the fourth quarter and they're up by 2 touchdowns. And do they keep throwing the ball and trying to like go for the long pass,
right,
and potentially have an interception, or do they start running the ball and just trying to run the clock out and be conservative?
Correct.
To me, that's the equivalent. It's like you've clearly hit a point in your career where you want to start playing a different game, where the risk of losing is more painful than the excitement and the benefit of you getting another touchdown or getting another amount of wealth that you could get. And that's, to me, that's like the big, and it's hard to define that sometimes. I can't define it for you, but psychologically, a lot of people, you can figure that out for yourself if you're ready to switch game plan to a different game plan.
Correct. And I think a lot of the investors that I work with, they aren't looking for real estate to be their current source of income, but there's a point in the future where, maybe they want to go take a sabbatical, or they want to maybe go part-time on their job, and they really need an income subsidy. That would be the way to make your real estate portfolio do that for you, by paying down debt or paying off debt.
I'm going to go down a little segue here because we're on the same topic. I think in many people's mind, they hear the 70-year-old analogy, say, all right, the end of my career, I'm retired. That makes sense. I get that, Erion. I'm going to do that. I found in my own journey, like there are these points where I've been kind of at these mini retirement stages where I'm like, all right, I don't have enough equity yet to have $10,000 per month in income, which is my goal, but I could have $4,000 or $3,000 a month, and that would give me the chance to take this little sabbatical, and it would give me a chance to breathe for a year or two. And I think fewer people think about that kind of sub-stage of their growth journey. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, because it's not, that one's a little fuzzier, a little tough to decide if you should pay some debt down.
No, yeah, that is a perfect point, because it's less about age. That wasn't the right example. Like, it's not about, hey, you're 65 and now you're a retiree. It's more about, whenever you decide to act like a retiree, right? So like that could be when you're 40, right? And you're going to be a retiree for a year because you're in Spain, or you're going to pull back so you can spend more time with your kids because you can feel like, your kids are growing too fast, and by the time that you get done chasing money, they're going to be out of the house. So maybe you want to pull back on your career a little bit. And now you're trying to turn, like, where your focus changes from capital growth into income. That's the point that we're talking about here, is that the moment that you need to focus on income, that's a stage that you should consider paying down some debt so that you can increase the amount of income that your properties produce.
Yeah, and I think really what we're saying here, when you talk about strategy in real estate, one of the best strategies to grow your wealth is to maximize your return on your investment. You got $100,000 and you want to turn it into $1 million. What can you do to safely get a good return on your investment? And it typically involves leverage in real estate. I mean, typically you're going to make a down payment, you're going to get a loan. That's the game plan. That's the way you win the game. What we're saying here is that there are times in your life when the game plan might shift, where maximum return on investment, maximum growth is not the top priority. The priority is now shifted to maximizing income. And I would also say maximizing peace of mind, sleep at night, those kind of things, which are a little bit harder to calculate, but having a simpler portfolio and high income portfolio, less risky portfolio can make a lot of sense at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's part of the plan. But that's skipping one step. It's not that you want to turn 100,000 into $1 million. It's you want to turn 100,000 into $1 million so that then that could produce $50,000-$60,000 a year of income for you, right? So just accumulating the money and then, selling everything and then, paying it off, or spending the money and drawing down on the capital, that's not a very smart plan. And, just accumulating capital so that then you can die, that's not a very smart plan either. So it's the utility of it, right? Your investments should serve your life. So the idea is the capital growth phase is there so that it can be followed by the monetization phase, by turning capital into income.
As I've put this idea out more with my book and with my videos about paying debt off, I've run into this. It seems like there's this lack of, or a difference in strategy, even with Robert Kiyosaki. I've seen some of his stuff. Like the idea is that you never stop using the game plan of using leverage and growing, and there isn't this monetization stage. You just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then if you get bigger, instead of like having a leveraged $200 a month cash flow, now you have massive apartments with leverage, and now you'll make 10 times that because it's 10 times bigger. But the leverage, that doesn't change. Like that's the game plan. So I know we said that's one end of the debate, but there are billionaires out there, people like Kiyosaki who say that their goal is to always have a ton of debt, and that, more power to them. But I just think that's kind of it's a different approach. I'm just deciding that it's just a different way of looking at success with your portfolio.
Well, I mean, I think ultimately it's like if you really want to dig deeper into your decisions, you always have to ask the corollary question, so that you can do what, right? That is the key part. It's like if you tell me, hey, I want to use leverage, right, and I want to grow it to this level, so that you can do what? What are we trying to do here, right? If it's a matter of, well, I want to be able to tell my friends that I have billions of dollars. Okay, fine, right? But as long as you're clear on what is the end game, I think you have to figure out why you're playing the game so that the game doesn't start playing you. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to keep playing the game, there's always a reason. I think I read an article about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos there's always a bigger yacht to compare yourself to. Maybe you told me about this. You're always going to have a game you can play a little bit higher, which I love talking to you about this, Erion, because in the end, like investment's just like a toolkit we have. Paying off debt, buying another rental property is just a tool question. The philosophical question, and then what requires you to think about your life and say, like, what matters to me? Am I content? Do I have enough? Like, what does enough mean? Like, what do I want to do with my life? What makes me happy? And that's a much more difficult question.
Those are way more difficult, especially for somebody who's figured out the game. So if you figured out the real estate game, or if you figured out the game of business, that comes easy to you, right? So you can just scale to the next level, and you don't have to spend time asking some of those questions, which are far more existential and far more difficult to answer.
All right. So we went down some segues there, but I want to go back. We've talked about some reasons, some phases of your life when it might make sense to consider paying off debt. But there also, many times the answer is, I want to go buy another property. I want to invest in another property. So maybe can you speak again to that decision matrix, maybe on a more granular level when somebody's having to decide one way or the other?
Generally speaking, when you should acquire when you're in acquisition mode, right? Meaning when you're putting your portfolio together, right? You have to always have a clear idea of what you're optimizing for. So in the early phases of building your portfolio, you should optimize for growing the scale of your portfolio initially. In other words, you don't want to have just one really perfect property that is optimized to the gills when it comes to the cash flow and the ROI and all of that. But in the end of the day, it's one property and it's not really going to change your life. So the first key is like, how do you reach critical mass, whatever that means to you? I don't mean a certain number of doors or a certain very round number of net worth. I just mean, whatever critical mass means to you, right? Until you reach that point, you should almost be always focused on acquisitions, right? So as long as there are properties in the market that fit your buy box, you should always prioritize, putting the puzzle pieces in place in your portfolio. If you have one property and you have $150,000 and that property has a $150,000 mortgage on it, right? To use your example, you could take that $150,000 and pay off this one property. And that would, you could go on Dave Ramsey, start screaming, right? Debt free, right? And make you happy. But that one property is not going to help you reach your goals. Instead, if you take that $150,000 and use that to make, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 very strategic purchases, right? Now you've got 4 puzzle pieces in your, 3 to 4 puzzle pieces in your portfolio, then that's going to give you opportunities later on that you wouldn't if you had just paid off the one property that you had.
So it requires you thinking a little bit longer term. And it also sounds like it requires you to have some sort of milestone you're shooting for. And so that leads me to the question, is having a net worth milestone, is that a good way to measure roughly the progress you're on? Like, hey, I've got $200,000 in equity and net worth right now. Maybe not a good time to start paying the debt off, and I still have more than years. Or is it I wait till I'm at $1 million in net worth? Like, is that, how do we measure when we're making progress?
No, the net worth is a proxy, right? So, but what I'm talking about is more sort of basic than that. And the idea is, okay, so you work backwards from what your goal is, right? So if your income goal in the future is, let's say, I want to earn $50,000, right, from my real estate investments, and let's say, for the sake of the argument, the yield that I can earn on a free and clear property is 5%, right? That tells me that now I got to have $1 million worth of free and clear real estate to be able to create that $50,000 income, right? So if I'm starting out now and I've got $50,000, really the formula is, how do I turn this $50,000 into $1 million 10, 15 years from now, right? And the easier way to do that is, in order to pay it off, you first have to have it, right? So you have to add it to your portfolio, and then you can pay it off, and then you can get to the point where and hopefully the growth will help, so you don't have to do all the heavy lifting yourself, but that's the idea, that you're working backwards from. So it's not a net worth goal in and of itself. It's not about, I want to be able to say, my net worth is $1 million, but it's like, that's the number that my pile of money needs to reach to be able to create the income that I want, which is the proxy for the life that I want when I'm financially free.
Got it. Yeah. So it's the net worth combined with the number of properties or the amount of income that those properties produce. And so if you start getting closer to that point where you're like, all right, if these properties were paid off that I already own, I would meet my $50,000 per year goal. Maybe you start at that point thinking, all right, how can I now start transitioning to a debt payoff mode instead of an acquisitions mode? And then you start going through the different strategies to either do a debt snowball, maybe you sell a few properties and pay off the other ones. There's other ways we've talked about before to try to get those properties paid off.
Yeah, so it's really, at what point are you in the journey? So in the beginning, right, you don't own any property, so you don't know, right? You don't know what they will yield, what they would do if they're paid off. So you almost have to do like in your book, you talked about how you do your market research and you figured out your buy box and what is a typical investment property look like in your area, and does that fit your buy box? So that's the idea, is that, okay, if I'm saying, okay, I need my net worth or my pile of money, to simplify, to be $1 million, and my average property in the area, right, is $200,000 that could help me get there. You could say, well, I need to buy 5 of those so that I can get to $1 million. Well, not necessarily, right? Because you got to discount that to the present. So you could buy, 4 of them, and through growth, they will get to $1 million 15 years from now, right? Depending on whatever the level of growth is. So you can basically work backwards from the income to the pile of money that requires, and then divide that into the average property that you can acquire in your area. And then that gives you your property number, if that's an easier way to look at it.
I find that a much simpler, reassuring way of looking at it. It's almost like stacking blocks. You get this one property, that's your first block.
It's moves,
second property,
right?
your second
5
block.
moves. That's all I need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Erion, the reason I love talking to you about this stuff is you take complex situations and you make them seem a lot simpler. So thank you for that. There's more we could say on this, but I think this is a good place to wrap it up. If people have comments, please leave them below in the YouTube channel and let us know your thoughts on this episode. If you have other questions you want to ask, you can also send us an email. If you're listening on the podcast, send an email to podcast@coachcarson.com. And Erion, people are going to want to hang out with you online. They want to see where you are. How would they connect with you if they like what they've heard so far today?
They can connect with me on X or Twitter at Invest Architect, my website, signaturehouston.com, and on LinkedIn.
Great. I'll have links to all of that in the podcast description, the YouTube description. Thank you so much for being here. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
So in this video, my goal is to help you decide, should you take your cash and buy another rental property, or should you use it to pay off your rental property debt? But what I didn't cover here is, if you decide to pay off the debt, how do you actually do that? And how do you do it as quickly as possible? So my next video is titled How to Pay Off Rental Property Debt in 5 Years or Less. It's a case study where I go into a lot of detail on 4 different strategies you can use to pay off rental property debt and to do it as quickly as possible. If you want to watch that, there'll be a link above me here, and also a link in the podcast and YouTube description below. I'll see you in the next video.